Good afternoon, church. This is always hard to do and gives me sleepless nights. But I thank God I can sleep tonight. I just want to thank Pastor and his wife for this opportunity that doesn't give me good sleep anyway, but I still have to say yes. And I just have to want to thank my husband for. I was supposed to do this with him, but he's gone for his uncle's funeral. And I want to thank my children also. Sorry for waking them up this early, but thank God. We give you glory, Lord, as we honor you. We give you glory, Lord, as we honor you. You are wonderful. You are worthy, oh Lord. 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 Indeed, Lord, you are wonderful. Thank you for your goodness. Thank you for your mercies. Thank you for the gift of life. We do not take it for granted, Lord. Thank you for how far you have brought us. Thank you for the opportunity to be in your presence, Lord. Father, Lord Jesus, I am just Selasi. Father, speak through me. Touch hearts. Touch marriages, Lord. I know whatever I'm going to say, they've heard it before, Lord. And it's nothing new. But this time around, Lord Jesus, let it have an effect in their lives. My Lord Jesus, come and take your seats, Lord. Stand by me, stand behind me, Lord, and speak through me, Lord. Saturate the sanctuary, Lord. Blind any evil eye, Lord Jesus. To you be all the glory, Lord. In Jesus' name I've prayed. Amen. My topic for today is making my grass greener. Usually, if we drive around or in our neighborhood, we see grass that's green, that's withered. Some are in between the two. And then maybe ours may not be like that. And we wonder why. For the grass to be that green, people take time. They put work into it. They weed grass. They take away the weeds. They water it. And they do it religiously. You can't do it lopsided. It can be lopsided. And if it's beautiful, we all appreciate it. The same thing applies to our marriages. Have you realized that the way a person treats you is how they feel about you, even in our individual relationships? If they value you, they treat you well. When you call, they pick the phone. We work hard on our jobs to keep it. We have sleepless nights to study and advance our skills. We drive through the snow, through the rain to go to work because we have to earn the income. But when it comes to our relationships and our marriages, nonchalant attitude. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. We don't fight for it. When we buy stuff from the shop and they are breaking up, we find ways. We go on YouTube, on the internet, or we call people who are good at it to fix it. But in our marriages, we just let it go. Love seeks what's in the best interest of your spouse. And marriage is not about you. It's about making the other party happy. It's not about yourself. Do you remember before you got married, when you met your spouse, the way they used to attract you, the way you be on the phone till 3 a.m., you talk and then you do stuff to make them happy. If they say things that even hurts you, you easily forgive. You don't hold on. You are just in love. Even if your parents are seeing something that you are not seeing, you just ignore because you really want that person. Then suddenly, after a few years, you wonder if that person is really the Mr. Right or Miss Right or your soulmate. What happened? Have you asked yourself, what happened down the line? What really happened? Why don't I feel like that anymore? Why don't I want to be on the phone with a person? Why don't I want to do stuff I used to do with a person anymore? Have you asked why? Your spouse should be your best friend to make your marriage work. Most people, their friends are their best friends. They talk on the phone for hours. They share their secrets. But when it comes to their spouses, they just give them short, witty answers. It's like, yes, no. Some people, even their body language, if you see them in public, the wife is trying to talk. You know, women love to talk. The wife is trying to talk, and you're. And everybody behind you, those who are in front, they may not see it. But people behind you read your gestures, And then they'll be wondering, what's happening? Is this marriage really working? And, we are human, we judge. Is this marriage, what's really going on? But you should see them with their friends. They will laugh. I know a man, when I was growing up, this lady, she had all boys, and they all traveled, and I used to visit her and check on her. And so many years, her last one told me about their dad, who doesn't chat with their mom or anything. So I always visit her. This man, I went there one day, and I was sitting outside waiting for the lady, the woman. And somebody was laughing on the phone, like a woman. So I was wondering if it is my friend's mom. And then I just stood up and peeked through the window. It was this man. He was laughing, quack, 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 for over 10 minutes. I was so surprised because everybody in the neighborhood knew him. That this woman, she doesn't have a relationship with the man. But you see him on the phone. And people have testified that even at his practice, he has a practice. Oh, he's a lovely man. Mention his name. So what did this woman do to deserve that? To deserve that torture? I asked myself till today. And then sometimes that marriage drags for a very long time. God will bless the person, and then you'll be growing old together, and one person is in pain, and then the other is enjoying. And it's sad. Those are called wasted years. Because she can't divorce, and then she can't do anything to make the marriage work. So how selfish can you be? Mark 10:9 says, "Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate." Don't allow friends to separate you. Don't let your friends be your best friends. Let your spouse be your best friend. I was blessed to see my parents enjoy their marriage. They married for 43 years before my mom passed. And from the 25 years of living with them, I really loved what I saw. My dad always talked to my mom. When he comes back from work, you hear my mom laughing, and you'll be wondering, what at all is this man telling him? Hey, he would tell her everything that went on during the day. He's a surveyor, so he travels a lot. When he comes back, he has stories. He's always talking to my mom. She was my mom's best friend. And when my mom passed, I remember when he was standing near the coffin, the way he cried and the things he said, it broke my heart. And then since then, he stopped living because his best friend is gone. He stopped living. But at least he gave her his all. And he has no regrets. And we saw his all. He couldn't wait to introduce him to people. He couldn't wait to say, meet my wife, as if he was the only one who's married. You know, they go to parties. My mom is the shy type. They go to parties, and he will want to put his hand around her waist and want to dance with her and all that. And my mom will be doing, oh, see if I stop it. You know, it's so beautiful. It's not just because they are my parents. I wrote a book about them, over 130-page book about them, because I loved what I saw. And I'm trying to follow their footsteps. Why don't we do that? Another, honesty and faithfulness is also another ingredient. Proverbs 3:3-4 says, let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablets of your heart. Then you win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. In Africa, unfaithfulness has become the order of the day. You go on Facebook and it's so sad. Some people will just say, I don't even feel like getting married because of what is going on. Because this man has a side chick, this woman has a side man. And it's normal. And then they'll say, oh, men will always be men. It rains everywhere. It doesn't rain everywhere. Sometimes it rains in Laurel, it doesn't rain in my area. So if my husband is coming home, the car is wet, but the area, there's nothing. It doesn't rain everywhere. And then they'll be like, oh, men can always cheat and it's fine. The woman should forgive. You choose to forgive, that's fine. Bible says forgive, that's fine. But the point is, why should you keep doing it? Don't you think the woman also sees a man who is nicer than you? Don't you think when she married you, you had flat tummy and now you have pot belly? Don't you think you had a lot of hair and now you are bald? I always tell Kofi that, oh, he used to have hair, but of course, this church, I realize a lot of people are, So guess what? I didn't know he would be bald, right? But guess what? I just love his baldness. Seriously, if he doesn't shave his head, I'm not comfortable. I just love. He attracts me with the baldness. I didn't know I'd come to that stage, but we are growing together. You don't expect to grow, and then you don't expect your wife to be the same way she was when you got married to her. Some people, they'll be like, especially the young ones, if they're getting married, they'll say, oh, me, I don't know why some women, if they give birth, then they'll become big. Really? Watch your wife go that way. You think they choose it? Nobody chooses the genes, and nobody chooses what to do to them. So you can't say the woman is not like the woman I married. She's changed. Haven't you changed? Have you checked yourself? Because she's not told you doesn't mean you've not changed. Some things, you just have to just keep quiet about it and just go with the flow. Learn to love the person one day at a time. Self-control is lacking these days. Anything nice, some men want it. Anything flashy, some women want it. They'll be in their marriages, but they'll be sleeping around. Because the guy has flashy cars, the guy earns good money, the woman is pretty, she's slim. Fine, she's not gone through what you are putting your wife through. She's not taking care of your children. Some of the children, they are hard work. She's not been through that fire. I remember when I was going to have my first child, I was induced for 30 hours before she came. My second child, I almost lost my life. He was stuck in my pelvis. They said they wouldn't do C-section because where he was, there's nothing they can do about it. I would have been gone. Women do all these things, and then you say, she's changed. Sometimes you say, oh, my wife, usually some people say, oh, the men, if they ask me out, they'll say, oh, my wife is not good in bed. My wife is not this, my wife is not that. Why don't you teach her, since you're the Oga, why don't you teach her what you want? Because maybe she wasn't a bad girl when she was growing up. So why don't you teach her what you know? Oga sex man. Teach her. Another tool is to build each other up. Your spouse is a reflection of you and a mirror through which people see you. If they are good at something, encourage them. Tell them, my wife, my husband, you are good at this. Why don't you develop yourself? Why don't you upgrade yourself? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? If you're married to a person and the person is on this level, after 15, 20 years, they shouldn't be on the same level. They should be up there. Because you are the person's greatest fan. So you are supposed to say, I see this in you, even though you don't see it in yourself. I see it in you. Build them up. Some people just need those words just to go high. Because usually what happens is the same people admire other women or other men with those qualities. And their wives or their husbands have those qualities, but they can't say anything to them. Why should it be so? If you say your wife is too big, why don't you go to the gym with her? You go to the gym by yourself because you want to look guy, fine boy. Yeah, Nigerians will say shakara. You want to look good. And then your wife, it's going to affect her health. So why don't you say, my wife, let's go for a walk around the neighborhood. Sometimes if my husband comes home early, we go for a walk around the neighborhood. It's not because we are perfect, or it's not because we have time. I have a lot to do. He has a lot to do. But just sometimes, just go for the walk and just leave the children so you can even have clear mind. You know what I mean. And just talk. Because sometimes it's so sad. You see the man fit and healthy, and then the woman, you just say, oh God, I hope nothing will happen to this lady. And it's not her fault, because sometimes she's stressed up from taking care of your children. They use your name, not hers. They're stressed up. Sometimes if I wake up in the morning, the first thing I think about is what to cook for my husband when he comes home, because I don't want the food to be monotonous. The same thing, oh, you ate this yesterday, tomorrow you're going to eat, You want a change. When it comes to our children, trust me, we can give them jollof, spaghetti, or anything. They'll be fine. You can cook egg and just give it to them. They'll be fine. They don't choose and pick, but the men are picky, some of them. And if you want to make them happy, you do it for them. My husband doesn't eat a day-old banku. So it has to be fresh. So if he's on his way and he's about 10 minutes away, I tell him, if he exits the 295 or wherever, just let me know. And then I'll start cooking the banku. By the time he's home, it's hot. I remember one day my daughter said, Mommy, why don't you give him yesterday's banku? Why don't you just warm it and then give it to him? And I said, my daughter, I tried it once and he caught me. It didn't work. So you just do what will make them happy. If you say, oh, my dear, you look good. If you tell your husband or your wife before he or she goes out, you look good. When they go to work, they have their shoulders high. No matter what somebody says, they don't care. Because you matter to them, not the other people. Transparency and trust. Sometimes I cringe if I read on Facebook or I hear people say, oh, if you want peace, don't touch your husband's phone, because whatever you're going to see, you may not like it. And it's going to give you sleepless nights and blah, blah, blah. They have all these theories that they talk about. And I'm like, if you can sleep on the same bed with me, you don't even open one eye, two eyes closed, and I don't suffocate you with the pillow, why do you think your phone is more important than your life? I don't get it. What is on that phone? What at all is on that phone? I know a man who died and they were trying to break the code on his phone. They couldn't for years. I don't think they still have. So have you even imagined if your wife's battery runs down and she's supposed to call a friend to help you? Or she's supposed to call 911 and she doesn't know that feature on the phone that it can do emergency call. Have you ever imagined what can happen to you? Life can be so short. No, these days people don't even have home phones. I have a home phone, but nobody even calls it. It's just there because once you call 911, they can trace it to your house. So, yeah, that's all. So have you ever imagined what might happen? Sometimes we have to really think deep instead of just thinking on the surface level. What will happen? What are you doing on that phone that you don't want your wife? People take it into the shower. It will drop. They'll pick it. When the phone rings, they go to the bathroom. And then they'll be whispering. Oh, it's not good for your pressure. Seriously. Blood pressure. No, because you have to keep track of those lies and hiding stuff and all that. You have to keep track of them so that it will be on this, you'll be on the same level. Let's learn to build ourselves up. Let's learn to be transparent. It's very, very important. Transparency and trust is very important. Sometimes people hide their treasures from their spouses. They have investments. They have stuff that their spouses don't know, but their siblings know. Their parents know. They are your siblings, that's okay. They are your parents, that's fine. She has them too. She also came from a home. I grew up in a home, not a house. A home. Dansoman Estate, a home. The person also came from a home. No matter how small it is, no matter how poor they were, their parents cherished them. But your siblings and your parents know everything about you. Your wife doesn't. Something happens and everybody was looking like her as if she's a fool, as if she's stupid. Why don't you know this about your husband? Why don't you know this? Of course, he didn't tell you. How do you know? And then some of them died, and then their properties are just around with nobody touching them. It's either the state takes them or a stranger somewhere. So why are you struggling then for your wife and your children? When you die, they can't even enjoy it. I thank God for my parents. My dad, he told my mom everything. 2006, he was coming. My dad is a surveyor. He owned his own company. I had his employees. 2006, he was coming from his village, and he was involved in a terrible accident. This big truck was in the middle of the road, you know, Africa, with no lights. And he drove his Land Rover underneath it. So he was in a coma, and then he had amnesia. And then one of the guys that he helped with the business came later to my mom, and he was like, "Oh, Auntie Charity, there was this contract that your husband and I bargained for, blah, 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 and he was supposed to give me this amount, huge amount. I'm talking about millions of cedis those times." And my mom was like, "No, Cephas didn't tell me that. Cephas said this. Since that day that the man left, since 2006, we've not seen him. Somebody my dad was helping. If my mom hadn't known, all those lands that he worked for would have sold all." Sometimes in Ghana, they say you think you are doing your wife. You're not doing your wife. You're doing yourself. No, because sometimes you feel like, oh, it's usually the men. So please, don't think I'm bashing only the men. I'll come to the women. Don't think that if my wife knows, she's going to kill me. My husband is like, if your wife will kill you because of life insurance, especially the men, let me come to this. They don't want to take life insurance because they feel their wives will kill them. And then they die, and then the wife and the children suffer. You traveled here because you want better lives for yourself and your children. Even if you had better, even if you're from a rich home back home, still, there's something good here. They don't want to take it because they feel their wives are going to kill them. My husband is like, if you kill me and you take care of my children, that's all. Just use the money to take care of my children. So I don't get it. Ecclesiastes 4:9-12 says, "Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help him up. Also, if two lie down together, they'll keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. So how can you keep warm if you still hide stuff from your spouse? The children will eventually leave. How can you keep warm when you don't build a relationship? Respect. Back in the day, they say men value sex than respect. I think it's a lie. They value respect than that. Because their ego is easily bruised. So no matter what you do, that ego thing, you can do nothing about it. If you don't respect him, he won't see you, he won't find you attractive, no matter what you wear, no matter your shape. Because it kills that thing in his mind. Proverbs 21:9 says, it's better to live on a corner of the roof than share a house with a quarrelsome wife. That I really like. Women. We have more words than men. We are quick to talk. Sometimes we don't even think about it. Some of us women, some women, they easily bash people, even their friends. They are so quick to bash. The least thing they'll bash. They don't know how to brush things off, how to say, oh, this one is not a big deal. Let me not just say it to keep the friendship or the relationship. They will say it. So sometimes, even the way they talk to their friends, when you see them, you're like, Personally, I avoid such people because I don't know how to fight. So personally, anybody who is feisty or always quarrelsome, I avoid them. So you can imagine what they do to their spouses at home. Some of them will bash them, they'll belittle them, even in the presence of their children. What are you teaching your children? If you call your husband a goat or stupid, your friends will call him so. They'll ask, how is your stupid husband doing? And then you'll be offended. You taught them how. It doesn't matter your education. It doesn't matter. Once you're married, you are married. Whether you have your master's degree and he or she is a high school dropout, you chose him. Your parents didn't choose them for you unless it's an arranged marriage. Even that, you could say no. Emotional abuse. Some men really abuse their wives emotionally. They will call them, they won't pick. They'll be there, they will ignore them. They don't care about what goes on in their wives' lives. It's all about them. Selfish. And the worst is those who abuse them by battering, beating them up. In this modern era, if you do that, shame on you. Because I can't imagine a grown man beating a grown woman. It's kids that we beat. You stand and you hit your wife in the presence of your children. The children will ask, I thought it's only us that's supposed to be spanked, right? So what are you teaching that child to become in future? The woman is an adult. She was an adult when you met her. She's not your child. She can never be your child. I am Cephas and Charity's child. I can never be Kofi's child. So why should you beat your wife up? Abuse is bad. If you are in an abusive relationship, seek help. Seek help because you may die. Abusers don't plan to kill. It's by accident. I was telling the first service about a lady in Silver Spring whose husband always beat her up. And she said she was leaving. Usually abusers, if you want to leave them, you don't tell them. By the time they come, you are gone. But she said it. And this man pushed her and she died. And her child was like, my dad killed my mom. Why should it be so? What happened overnight? And women, respecting your husband doesn't make you a weakling, no matter your educational status. No matter how educated you are, the way you treat him is how people will see him. If you cherish him, you respect him, no matter how low he is, people will cherish him. I remember a lady opened her mouth and told me, she told her husband, oh, if this the income that you are bringing, you are better off staying at home. I'm like, you just killed his ego. How can you say that? Some of them don't care. We just talk. Because maybe you are comparing yourself to your friend's husband who has his master's or who has a degree and has a better job. Everybody's different. You chose him. When he said he loved you, you said yes. Don't kill his ego. He's somebody's son too. Respect is a two-way street. Respect is a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. If you respect them, they will respect you. Most women have used their mouth to break their own marriages. They've used their mouth to lose their job. Everything they'll say it. They don't know that gentle and quiet spirit. Sometimes you need that gentle and quiet spirit. Because we can all be crazy. I always tell my children that I'm a very nice person. I tolerate a lot. But they shouldn't try me. If they go to school and they call me, and I come to their school, they will know that mommy is a different mommy today. So I've never received any call since they are pre-K. Because everybody has that side that can make them crazy, no matter how educated they are. Effective communication. Some people brush things under the carpet because they don't want trouble. They don't want fights. That's okay. If you don't want fights or troubles, you can just let go instead of holding it in. Because if you hold it in, you are brushing it under the carpet. And if you go to somebody's home and the carpet has a lot underneath it, trust me, you'll be there and you see stuff coming out. Have you tried taking out the couch pillows and look in between it? Do you see what's in there, especially if you have kids? The pencils and the pens like 20. You wonder why you keep replenishing them every time. That's what happens. You bottle them in once you are fed up, it just blows out of proportion. Communicate in a nice way. I like to speak my mind. My husband knows it. I won't hold it back. I say it in a nice way. That this is what you did. I didn't like it. And you say, I'm sorry. And then I just forgive. I just move on. Some people, they communicate, but their communication is shrouded in mysteries. Their wives have to use the XYZ code to break it, like cybersecurity. MD5 or whatever. They have to do all that. It's not necessary. Come to your wife or your husband's level. Communicate, talk. Talk about your fears. Talk about your worries, your failures. Failing in life doesn't make you a weakling. We all do or have done once in a while. Talk about them. Stop being pompous like that. You feel if you say it, your wife will think, oh, you're a loser. She knows your weakness, at least she sees you naked anyway. So, what is it? Appreciate and cherish each other. Let's learn to say thank you for little things. In this society, I don't know if grandma's society was different, but at least I know my mom taught me certain things that I know her society used to do. That is saying thank you for little things. This society, we are so spoiled, and if people do stuff for us, we feel we are entitled. After all, I didn't ask her, or I didn't ask him, or, oh, she can choose not to do it, or if she did it, and so what? We don't appreciate little things. Forgetting that what I always tell my children is, it's not everybody who will do the little things for you. Somebody has to think about you to do the little things for you. I always tell them because I'm teaching them how to appreciate people. Because life can be very funny. You may need people and they will all give you excuses. But the person who cares will be there. So if you have a spouse who goes the extra mile for you, cleans your car, washes it, snow, plows, and everything, appreciate them. They can choose to lie in their bed. The bed is very comfortable. We all love it. They can choose to do that. Appreciate them. Don't take them for granted. I remember a friend, after so many years of marriage, when his wife organized a surprise party for him, after the party, he said, Sela, I didn't know my wife ever appreciated me. I was so sad because I know how much that guy worked hard in Ghana to keep his family together. Buy tickets for his wife. Those times we're in Legon, we do Akoniaba, we travel back and forth. Buy tickets for his wife to travel and see the world. The woman never said thank you. So she organized that party. And the guy had tears in his eyes. Usually, if you read tributes, they are so juicy. People write nice stuff in it. And every time I read tributes, the first thing I ask myself, did that person hear those words when they were alive? They died, and then we say all those things. As for me, I don't hold back. If you received a text message from me about appreciating you, it's from my heart. Because my mom taught me something. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say it. So I don't waste my time. In fact, I don't impress people. I do what I have to do and I want to do. Tributes are so juicy. Some people are hurting. They do stuff and their spouses don't appreciate. They go all the way, sleepless nights, just to make the home comfortable. Mother's Day, we celebrate a lot. Father's Day is so sad. But fathers do a lot. Even though modern women work, we support the home. But still, fathers do a lot. And we appreciate you. God bless you. It's not easy. Seriously, it's not easy. Sometimes in the rain, in the snow, they'll warm your car. They'll go to work. They'll pick extra shifts just to make the home comfortable. Isn't it nice to send a text message whilst it's at work and say, thank you for everything you are doing for the family? Isn't it nice to write a note and put it on the fridge or in his car, in his lunchbox, or even vice versa? A man doing it for a woman. Isn't it nice you cook breakfast, just serve it in the bed? Oh, my wife, you are tired, relax your feet. Because taking care of your children is hard work. It's hard work. They don't even write our names. They don't have our last names. In fact, some of us, our children don't even look like us. It's hard work. It's not easy. So we should learn to say thank you. We should learn to appreciate each other. We shouldn't wait to write those in tributes because it's too much. It's too heartbreaking. My dad used to say, don't kill my wife for me. If we are troubling my mom, she said, don't kill my wife for me. We didn't used to get it. When we all left the home, and he had that accident in 2006, it's his wife, Charity, who served him till she passed. She, the stronger one, passed and left him. She served him diligently because he was good to her and because he appreciated her. If he had killed her before 2006, we don't even know who would go to Ghana and go and take care of him. We just pay people to do it for us. But he valued that woman. And when he needed her, she was there. Some men, I just look at them and I just laugh. I said, God has a good sense of humor. Because just pray that you don't get sick when you grow up. Just pray for good health. Because if your wives are not forgiven, you regret it. Apology. We should learn to apologize. The African mentality is, oh, men don't say I'm sorry. Some men will say, if I say I'm sorry, she will let me be saying it every day if something is wrong. So I won't say I'm sorry. So you can't even open your mouth and say, my dear, I'm sorry, and mean it from your heart. No. Some of them will say, if I regret my actions, I'll just help at home. Fine, that one too is good. But say, I'm sorry. It won't kill you. I'm sorry, and mean it from your heart. When she's gone, you just cry. You just cry. They say men don't cry, but your heart, you know how you've hurt her. Say, I'm sorry. And because the word I'm sorry is there, some men also, they just do the stuff and then just say, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just like a song. They sing it morning, afternoon, evening. And then they want their wives to endure and just say you are forgiven. You have to place a premium on your words and mean what you say. I always tell myself, between my husband and I, there's no pride, there's no arrogance. If I'm wrong, oh my dear, I'm sorry. If he still doesn't, he accepts it, but he's still warm, I'll tickle him. I'll do stuff to make him laugh, just for him to know I'm sorry. Because what's the arrogance about? What's the pride about? If you go out to that door, who will know you begged? Who will know you were on your knees and you said sorry? Or who will know you cried to say sorry? Unless you tell somebody. It will bring peace. It doesn't make you a weakling. African men, it doesn't make you weaklings. It makes you the bigger person. It makes you the bigger person. Saying I'm sorry to your wife doesn't... Some men, the way they even say is that, me, my wife, I should say sorry to her. God forbid. And that's so sad. Because that means you're belittling your wife. She doesn't deserve sorry from you. If you were to be your mom, you'd have said sorry. Oh, mommy, Pacho, ma, I'm sorry, right? She's somebody's mom or she's somebody's sister. Forgiveness. 1 Corinthians 13, 4-5 says, love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast. It's not proud, it does not dishonor others. It's not self-seeking, it's not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. I like that it keeps no record of wrongs. Because some people, they keep scores in marriage. It's like today I want 2, tomorrow I have to win 3. They fight and argue to win. They don't argue to put their points across. What's the winning thing in this? Who is given a crown? Who is given an award for those fights? They'll say, me, I've never lost an argument. And they're so proud saying it. I mean, if I hear people say that, I just see you some ways. Excuse me, but I'm so sorry. What's that? Why should you pride in that? That you know how to fight? Once you're in your marriage and you are holding on, you're not going to enjoy it. If you don't forgive, you are carrying this burden. Some people, they'll forgive. A woman especially, they'll start with the date. October 18th, 2002, when we went to that person's party, you did that. You embarrassed me. You did this, you did that. They'll say everything, the shirt you were wearing, the number of people who were present, and everything. But must you always remind him? One thing, if I forgive, I just move on. I don't see why I should just take you back to that road. I know. I don't see why. You said you are sorry. Let's enjoy the marriage. There's no marriage in heaven. Kofi's uncle, healthy 59-year-old man, he wasn't even 60. Woke up 2 weeks ago, Sunday morning, about to do his quiet time, heart attack. He's gone. He was taken to the ER. They jump-started the heart. Within a few minutes, he was gone. Less than 60 years. Life can be short. So why should we harbor stuff in? You're hurting your own self. As much as you're not enjoying your marriage too. Share with each other. I've not read anything in the Bible that says men should always be the high-income earners. I've not read anything like that. So I don't know why some women, if they earn higher than their men, they disrespect them. And some men too, if your wives earn higher than you are insecure. Insecurity kills marriage a lot. And society is also a factor. They will say, oh, that man, he doesn't have a good job, or his wife is a nurse, and she's the one bringing the money home. And then you'll be saying it. Does it matter? Can the woman also earn more and take care of the home? It doesn't matter. It's a union of two people who are willing to make it work and forgive, to help build each other up. My number one thing is sense of humor. Some couples are too serious. Life is not always rosy. Even the richest person you know has their own problems. Everybody, one way or the other, has something they are battling. But it doesn't mean if you walk out through the door, you do your face like that, as if you bit lemon, and then everywhere you go, you have lemon in your mouth. Loosen up. Laugh over issues. I tell people, I can do bad by myself. I can sit and then be on my phone and laugh, and my children will be wondering what's going on. I see humor in a lot of stuff. That's why I laugh a lot. I see humor in a lot of stuff. Just loosen up. Just laugh. It's good for your heart. Some people, they'll say, my husband, you can't say certain things around him. Oh. Hey, you don't know my husband, eh? Who is he? 6 feet. All of us will go someday. So all that, I don't know what it is. You go there someday. So why don't you enjoy it? Why don't you loosen up? If you see people who loosen up, they are a fresh air to be around with. You want to be around them. Personally, I love to be around people who have that aura around them. Because certain people, they depress me. Seriously. They make me sad, and then the next minute, I coil into my shell. And I don't like doing that. Just have some sense of humor. Just see humor in certain things. Because it also helps in the way you forgive and the way you take things. Because certain things, you just laugh over it. I was just telling the first service about, sometimes you went to the shop and you forgot something, right? So you call your husband and you say, oh, if you're on the way coming, please buy that thing. He said, oh, okay, I'm 5 minutes away from there, so I can just pass by. I said, okay. And then you send him on the thing on the phone. And then you remember something else, and then you add it, right? So when he goes to the shop, you expect him to bring those 4 or 5 items instead of one. He'll get home, and then he brought the first thing that sent him to the shop, he's forgotten about it. And he brought the other stuff. But he went to the shop because of that. And sometimes you'll be so mad. But you just laugh over it. And I was also telling them about how most men, when they are driving and they are almost near the exit, you have about 10, 15 seconds to get to the exit. They are still in the 4th lane. A woman will be going to the 3rd, 2nd, 1st, right? The man will still be in the 4th lane. Then 1 second before exit, peeping, psh, 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 psh. Then everybody's pressure is high. And sometimes I'm like, this is torture. And if I complain, most people say, oh, my husband does say, my husband does say. So if I'm in the car, I always tell him, if I'm in it, my mouth is in it. So I'll say it. Because if something happens, all of us will go. And then he will say, you should see yourself drive. And I said, okay, if you're in my car, you can also talk. You know? But certain things, you just laugh over them. It doesn't mean all is well. That is my point. It doesn't mean all is well. It just means take life easy, no matter how hard it is. Sometimes, some people will say, how can I make my grass green when I'm in a miserable marriage? Being in a miserable marriage can be hard. Not been there, but I know people. But it doesn't mean you should jump to another woman's arm or another man's arm. That woman has not undergone the pressure your wife has gone through, and that man hasn't either. But the fact that you close from work and go to that woman's house and go and eat and feel comfortable and be selfish and enjoy life and come home and come and sit like, I don't even know. It's not fair. And then apart from that, it won't give you the opportunity to assess yourself and work on your marriage. Because you have a side issue that you are dealing with that is making you happy. So you're not thinking about the other person's happiness. You're thinking about yourself. And then your wife or your husband will be home crying because you found solace in somebody's arms. If that same person goes through what you put your wife or your husband through, they'll be worse than your wife or husband. I always tell men, if they complain about their wives, I always tell them, almost every woman is the same. Some of them can fight than others, though. But when it comes to most things, I don't know how many women will sit in a car if the man is at the far left and they're almost exiting, they won't talk. Hey, then you're lucky, oh. Me, I'll say it. We all do the same things. And then you say we worry too much. We worry because we care about you. If you're in a miserable marriage, have you considered counseling? Of course, you say, oh, what's the counselor going to say? I've heard that always several times. That's fine. But when you heard it, did you apply it? Have you assessed yourself to see what you are doing wrong for that party to be doing whatever they are doing? Why is that person behaving that way? Have you assessed yourself? We are so quick to point fingers. Oh, he did this, she did this. What did you do to prompt that? Do we ask ourselves? We don't. Do we pray about it? No, we are too busy with the other woman or the other man. We don't even have time to pray about it. But sometimes you may be the problem. That's why that person is behaving that way. I read something that says 6 problem-solving steps. It says identify the problem. Sometimes people don't see there's a problem. If you don't see there's a problem, you can't even work on it. You have to identify the problem to be able to find measures to combat it. Search for alternatives. What alternatives do you have? Counseling, praying. Ask people, oh, what are you doing right in your marriage? Why is yours working? Why is mine not working? I remember a friend asked me, what are you doing in your marriage? What is working for you? I gave her a rundown. And she told me, me, I don't do that. Oh. And she said, it's like, as for her, I don't even know how to say it. I'm not an accountant. So she won't do that. If you won't do that and I'm doing it, you expect the same results? It can't work like that. Weigh the alternatives. Make a choice. Implement the choice. Evaluate results. Evaluate the results and see if it's working. Is my wife changing? Is she getting angry lesser and lesser by the day? Is he loving me more? Is this working? Why don't I try this? Why don't I try that? People divorce and they regret it. Most of them, it's their pride that takes the high road. They regret it and wish they can come back, but they can't. I have an aunt whose husband told her after so many years that he regretted leaving her, but he was so full of pride and he couldn't come back. So assess yourself. Whatever problem you have right now, if you go to the next marriage and you've not assessed yourself, it will be the same thing. It's not rocket science. A marriage based on love and respect doesn't just happen. Both spouses have to do their part. If you want to make sure it stays alive, you can still fan the flames. Proverbs 19:14 says, houses and wealth are inherited from parents, but a prudent wife is from the Lord. You choose your own spouse. Your parents don't choose them for you. So cherish them. Respect them. Let them mean something to you. There's something I wrote in my book about taking a piece of paper sometimes, occasionally. If it's once in a year, once in 5 years, that's okay. But just draw a line in it. And just write whatever you admire about your spouse on the left and whatever makes you mad on the right. And then tally it, and then you notice that the good things outweigh the bad. But we are always quick to bash the bad. We are always quick to magnify the bad side, to blow it out of proportion, instead of counting our blessings. I count my blessings a lot. Sometimes I tell my husband, people think you are quiet, but they don't know you are hard to deal with sometimes. Every man is stubborn, no matter how quiet they are, let me tell you, they are stubborn. No matter how calm they are, they can be very stubborn. And then they'll go, and then they'll come back, and then they'll expect you to say, I told you so, and then you won't say it. Me, I won't say it. I'll just look at you with the eye. So we have to count our blessings. Instead of bashing their weaknesses, we have to magnify their strengths. We always work hard at our jobs to make it work. Let's work on our marriages. We should always remember our children are watching us. The way you treat your spouse, they are watching. I watched my parents. I wrote a book about them. I'll never forget about it. We always tell that story in our home. The way my dad treats my mom. And it was beautiful in my sight. I loved it. I learned from it. So I'm working on mine. It's not perfect. If you find any perfect marriage, let me know. I'll write a book about it. There's no perfect marriage. Everybody is trying something to let it work. But you have to put your heart into it to let it work. If you love your children, you will love your spouse. We have social vices around that we see on TV and we talk about. Those things, they began from home. Some of those children, they're just seeking attention. Some of them is the way you treat your spouse. That's what they've learned. And they are doing it at an early age. So imagine what they'll become when they are 25. They are looking up to you. The way you are treating your wife, will you be happy to see your daughter being treated like that? Will you be happy to see your sister being treated like that? If you are treating her like trash, and you see your son-in-law treats your daughter like trash, would you like it? I'm sure you'll be so hurt, especially the men. I know how, what's it called? If your parents want to give your hand in marriage, you know the men, they're like, oh, my daughter, hey, I hope this man is going to treat her well, So imagine that man treating your daughter like the way you are treating your wife. You'll be so hurt. And you, the woman too, the way you talk to your husband, the way you belittle him as if he's a nobody. You are quick to bash him. Oh, look at your friends. They are doing this, they are doing that. You have a nice way of saying that. My dear, let's do this to upgrade ourselves. Let's do this to go higher. Let's do this. Instead of bashing him, the way you are treating him, will you be happy to see that little prince that you call my dish here in Akan language? Will you be happy to see a woman treat her like trash? You'll be so hurt. So if you know the way you are treating your spouse and you don't like it and you wouldn't want your child to go through that, change for the better. I read a story that says, my wife and I have a routine of picking water along with us when stepping out of home together. This practice isn't cast in stone. Hence, anyone whose hands are less occupied at the time of exit usually grabs water while the other waits in the car with our son. On Boxing Day last year, I gave my wife a 15-minute notice while I returned from a washing bay nearby. The assumption was that she'll be fully prepared as well as get our son dressed up. As you might already guess, I waited another 8 minutes after tooting my horn to alert her I had arrived. I finally walked in angrily after waiting for a while, only to find her changing our son's diaper. Looking at my facial expression, she quickly spoke. Oh, baby, I'm sorry I made you wait. I had to quickly change Junior's diaper because I just noticed it was soaked. Without saying a word, I walked straight into the kitchen, grabbed a single bottle of water for just me, and waited in the car. Still with my frowned face, I noticed my wife walk out shortly, with Junior on her shoulder, supported with one hand, and a little bag in the other hand. I sat unconcerned as she struggled to lock the door just to register my displeasure about waiting each time we have to leave home together. All this while, I pretended I hadn't seen her struggle and continued fidgeting my phone. As soon as she sat in the car with a very broad smile, she handed me the little bag saying, "Baby, I took some water for us. Please take yours out." This was where my heart dropped. As I write this, my head is still bowed in shame. And each time I remember this incident, I hear a small voice say, "Shame," in my head. I haven't felt bad in my entire life like I did that day. While I refused to get her a bottle of water because I was angry, actually angry that she was late because she had to change the diapers of my own son, she still made it a priority to ensure nothing affects our ritual and that I'll be comfortable regardless. So the lesson is, if we could all realize our mistakes and be remorseful like this, wouldn't the world be a better place? How many of us say shame to ourselves for acting too quickly, speaking too fast, reacting too quickly? To make our grass greener, we have to keep on keeping on and not give up. And we have to let Christ be the center of it, because without him, we cannot do anything. We can do all that we can. Nothing will work. We'll just be going in circles. So, this is my word for you. I just want us to rise and pray. Let's pray for marriages that are on the verge of breaking up, that God will cause both